everybody. Today we are going to make a faux bug mount. I thought this one turned out really cool. It is a really fun decoration for Halloween or for not Halloween. If this is your particular aesthetic, you can just have it around all year long. Anyways, let's get started on the project. The supplies that you have in your kit are a wooden board, some gold paint, some black paint, some matte clear top coat, a bug, a large brush, and a small brush. You will also need some hot glue, though you will have to provide that for yourself. The first step of this project is to paint our wooden plaque black. We're going to do that with the larger brush. We're going to dip that into the black paint and then start brushing it on to the wooden plaque. I was brushing it with the grain so that any brush strokes that show through would look like they're part of the wood. I would suggest starting with either the back or the front and just painting that side, letting it dry, and then painting the sides of the plaque and then painting the back. I didn't do that because I'm really impatient, so I just painted the front side and the sides all at the same time, which was a little difficult because then there was a point where I could only touch one side of the plaque. I would say wait for it to dry because this paint, in fact, dries super, super quick, maybe in like 5 minutes. So, and it's super easy also to tell when this paint is dry because, of course, when it's wet, it looks a little shiny, and when it's dry, it looks completely matte. So you would want to do that. So just paint each side at a time and set it down to dry. This plaque will need 2 coats of paint. And again, the paint dries quick, so that's not a problem. Now that we've finished our first coat on our plaque and are waiting for that to dry, we are going to start our first coat of the gold paint on our bug. With this, we're going to use the small brush and we're going to brush that paint onto that bug. With this first coat, we want to get every single nook and cranny we possibly can. Just keep in mind that this paint is very sheer and that you will be able to see the colors through this first coat. So don't try and keep brushing in the same area trying to make it completely opaque, because what you're really going to end up doing is just taking off the paint you already put on there. So one thing I did notice was that dabbing the paint onto your bug is a much better technique than brushing, though of course in those big areas you can do brushing and stuff like that, but in the smaller areas around the head, you can see me dabbing the paint on, and that helped make a much more opaque finish. It is actually 3 coats of paint on the bug to make it super opaque, though of course you have to wait for the bug to dry in order to do that second paint, because as I said, if you put more paint on the wet paint, it moves the first layer of paint around. So you just have to wait for it to dry. But again, I'm getting the legs, all the feet, even the underside, try and get the antenna as well. For the underside, at least the underside of my bug was yellow. I just painted it the first time around and left it the other 2 times I coated the bug because the gold pretty much blends through, and anyway, you're going to be gluing the bottom of the bug onto the plaque and you won't be able to see it. But just for continuity, I painted the bottom of it that first time. Now that we're done with the first coat of gold paint on our bug, we can then do the first coat of black paint on the back of our plaque. You do this how you did previously. Use the big brush and then brush the back with black paint. Then you would set it off to the side to dry and then see if your bug was still wet or not, so that you could then do the second coat of gold on the bug. However, in my case, I made a huge mistake. Instead of cleaning up my area when I was done doing the first coat of the bug, I just kind of left it there. And unfortunately, because I was trying to keep the plaque in view of the camera, I put my black plaque right in my gold paint mess, and that left the beautiful front side of my plaque with gold blotches on them. which was really unfortunate. So I also did the second coat of black paint on that front side, and then after that I set it off to dry. Unfortunately, because I did that, I had to do a third coat of black paint on the front side of the plaque. It was just this front side that needed that third coat because of my stupid mistake. But anyway, don't be like me. Clean up in between your paint sessions because you don't know when you're going to mess up. Now that the plaque has been painted and is put to the side to dry, we're going to do the second coat of our gold paint on our bug. As you can see with my grasshopper, the green of the bug is showing through, so we are doing the second coat so that we can cover that up. With this bug, you want to make sure that the first layer of paint is completely dry before you start painting the second coat. Otherwise, you'll just be moving around your first coat, and you don't want that. Once you have finished with that, we can then put it off to the side to dry, and then we will go back to our plaque. Now that we have finished painting our plaque and left it to dry, we can now start putting on the clear coat. The clear coat is there to protect the paint on the plaque and make sure that it doesn't start chipping or that it doesn't get dirty or anything like that. With this, you want to keep in mind that you want thin coats and not thick coats, because the thinner the coat, the more matte it'll look. If you put too much on there, it starts looking a little too shiny. I would also suggest that you brush in the direction of the grain in order to get the desired look. And you would, of course, do this for all sides. You just have to wait for it to dry. It does take a little bit longer to do so. The plaque is now completely finished. All we have to do is wait for it to dry. Now we can finish up our bug. In order to do that, I'm just taking my gold paint and my brush, looking at my bug, seeing if I see any area where I must have missed in the other two coats, and then going into those areas with my brush, making sure I can't see any of the original color. I don't do a full covering of the bug, but yeah, just make sure that those little nooks and crannies are all painted over. Now that you have finished painting the plaque and the bug, we are now going to hot glue our bug onto our plaque. I did this by putting some glue on the belly of my bug and then placing it down onto my board. Unfortunately, I didn't really center it that well, but that was because the camera was angled away from me, but that's okay. It still looks good. After I placed it down and held it firm for a little while onto the plaque, I made sure I knew where I wanted my feet to go and then placed some hot glue on the feet and then put it down where I wanted it and held there for a little while until I thought that the glue had set enough for me to take away my fingers. And I did that with all of the feet. So once you are done with that, that is the end of the project. Go hang it where you will. So now that we are done with our project, this is what the finished product looks like. You can hang it pretty much anywhere once you're done with it. For our next project, we will be doing some cute little evergreen trees in a book. It is a book folding project, so if you're interested, you can sign up for that if you are in between the grades 6 and 12. We are going to be doing this on the third Tuesday of November. So I will have a link for this program in the description at the bottom of the video here, or you can go onto our website and into our calendar to see any other projects or programs that we have going on for you guys that you can sign up for. All right, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.